Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get the latest updates.
I'm with Ambassador Ashok Kantha, former Indian ambassador to China from 2014 to 2016, and Ambassador Gautam Bambawale, also Indian ambassador to China from 2017 to 2019. Gentlemen, welcome to The Print. This is a new property that we have called The Print Debates, where we discuss the most burning issue of the day, and what better than to talk about India-China than with both of you. So welcome to The Print.
Thank you.
Ashok, my first question to you, if I may, is about the foreign ministers of India and China, Mr. Jaishankar and Mr. Wang Yi, who have met in Moscow just a couple of days ago. And there has been a 5-point course of action which involves disengagement from the line of actual control, where both armies have been facing off over the last 2.5 months or so. What do you make of the conversations that have come out in the media? What is your reaction?
Jyoti, no, it was definitely a step in the right direction, a positive conversation. From what has been put out in joint statement, the two ministers had a candid exchange of views, which they characterized as constructive at the same time. To the extent the dialogue process is continuing, to the extent the two ministers could agree on a 5-point, roadmap, so to say, on resolving these issues, it's a welcome development. There is a faint glimmer of hope in the process at present. As you know, situation along the borders is not at all encouraging at present. We have had some very difficult, very alarming developments, situation unstable. To the extent this meeting will help in bringing a measure of stability to the situation, we welcome it. The two ministers agreed that border commanders will hold discussions to bring about an early disengagement, that troops will maintain some distance between themselves, and there will be de-escalation. This understanding is not new, really. Likewise, other 4 points of the 5-point understanding arrived at in Moscow is not really new. One can't describe the understanding as breakthrough at this point of time, even though it's a welcome development. I'm also concerned about what is not there. There's no understanding on restoration of status quo ante. As far as Indian side is concerned, any disengagement, this de-escalation should result in restoration of status quo ante as of April this year. That's not there. Likewise, what has been put out by two sides following the joint statement also makes it clear that we are not quite on the same page. There are major areas of divergence in statements or informal briefings emanating from Beijing and New Delhi. Chinese side tried to describe external affairs minister's position on the linkage between the border issue and larger India-China relations in a manner which has been questioned by the Indian side. So on the whole, I'll say that it's a positive development, yet much more work remains to be done. Onus has been put on border commanders to find a resolution to the present standoff. But if you go by what we have achieved over the last 2 months, there has been no progress through that channel. Whether they'll be more successful in days to come, it remains to be seen.
Gautam, may I come to you? Ambassador Kantha has used some interesting phrases. He says there's a faint glimmer of hope. But what is interesting in this joint statement is that there are two missing phrases, if you like. One is the status quo ante, that is missing, that phrase. And also the line of actual control, that 3-word phrase, that's missing too. So what is your first reaction to the Moscow meeting?
Thank you for that question, Jyoti. I couldn't agree more with Ambassador Kant. His understanding of the situation on the ground is very similar to mine. You know, you are absolutely right. The joint press statement doesn't talk about restoration of status quo ante, which implies that the two sides could not agree on this particular wording or on this particular aspect. Now, as we know, what the Chinese have started this summer in May of 2020 is something quite different from what occurred earlier in 2013 at Depsang or in 2014 at Chumar.
Right.
In those instances, there were border patrols, smaller number of troops, which accidentally ran into each other. Then it became a little bigger, but then we were able to restore status quo ante. This time round, it's completely different. They have brought in tens of thousands of troops, several divisions of troops. So
Would
it
you say
is
tens?
premeditated, pre-planned, well thought out. Therefore, I think from all the discussions which have already occurred at both diplomatic as well as military levels, you can see that restoring the status quo ante is proving to be difficult. Look, just because it doesn't find mention in this particular joint press statement doesn't mean that the LAC is not something which the two countries have agreed to, because the LAC finds mention in the agreements of 1993, 96, and even beyond that. So I personally do not read too much into the fact that the words LAC do not appear in the joint press statement.
Okay, so you're more concerned, both of you seem to be more concerned about the missing phrase, status quo ante. So I said, Ambassador Kantha, this phrase, status quo ante, that seems to be so significant right now. You were ambassador in China when the Chinese President Xi Jinping was visiting India in 2014, and the Chinese PLA troops intruded into India at Chumar exactly at the same time that Xi Jinping was in India. How did India and China resolve that intrusion at that point of time?
You know, Jyoti, as you mentioned, we had a standoff situation occurring when Xi Jinping was in India. In fact, the situation had started even before he arrived in India. I recall that when he was in Ahmedabad, where Prime Minister had gone to receive him, at that time, situation had escalated. As a result, Prime Minister personally raised this issue with President Xi Jinping in Ahmedabad and conveyed to him in no uncertain terms our anxieties, our apprehensions, our concerns, as also our expectation that the matter will be resolved as soon as possible. At that time, what we had conveyed to the Chinese side is that we expect status quo ante to be restored as of 30th September 2014. And this brief was given to me also when I returned to Beijing soon after the visit, and discussions that we had in Beijing, we essentially held firm on this position that they must restore status quo ante as of 30th September 2014. And I must say that they agreed to do that. So in Chumar and Demchok, we restored status quo ante and matter was brought to an amicable resolution before too long.
What is so different this time? Why is 2020 so different from 2014?
See, 2014, we had standoff situations in Chumar and Demchok. They were relatively speaking sort of one-off situations. There was no big pattern that at multiple locations along the LAC, Chinese had moved in troops. This is very different. This time, as you're aware, we have had standoff situations occurring at various places, including at Nakula in Sikkim, along Pankung Lake, in Galwan, at Hot Spring, in Depsang Plains. So there is a pattern to it, which happened. Secondly, Chinese have moved in troops in unprecedented numbers. We have not witnessed something like this happening along India-China border LAC since 1962. In fact, Chinese have deployed troops in a manner which is inexplicable, and we had to do our matching deployment on our side. As a result, we have very heavy deployment on both sides, and moreover, since Chinese did not agree to disengagement and de-escalation through a process of restoration of status quo ante. We have standoff situations at multiple locations. Troops are within some very close proximity. In fact, it's a case of close confrontation, as Chinese described an earlier situation which occurred in 1986 in Subdrung-Chu Valley and Namkha-Chu Valley. And as you're aware, there has been an incident resulting in loss of life for the first time in 45 years. A few days ago, there's opening of fire, which also for the first time, we had something like that occurring along India-China border since 1975, Tulungla incident in 1975. Plus, what's happening today, it's not really local in character. It's not that some Chinese PLA commander has exceeded his brief or he has taken law into his hands. Nothing of the kind. This is, as Gautam very rightly pointed out, a premeditated move. Chinese have a game plan. What are their motives we can discuss. It's very difficult to be certain about the motive. But this is a decision which has been taken at the highest level.
So, Ambassador Bambawale, there have been media reports that the Chinese have told the Indian side, unconfirmed reports right as of now, that they would like both sides to withdraw to the 1959 or the 1960 claim line. So explain to us what that means and why that is different, why the 1959 claim line is different from the line of actual control today.
Yeah. Let me start by saying, Jyoti, that what the Chinese are trying to do in the summer of 2020, or now more than the summer of 2020, for the last 4 months, 4.5 months, maybe even more, is that they are unilaterally trying to define the LAC on the ground. And you can imagine, this is something where two countries are involved. We have agreed to discuss it bilaterally and try to resolve and clarify the line of actual control bilaterally.
You earlier said that this is premeditated and pre-planned. So why do you think this is happening at this time?
Look, I really don't know. The Chinese system is very opaque, as all of you know. Yes, we do understand it up to a point, but why they have chosen this particular point in time to implement such action, there are a number of reasons which are possible. But these are all in the realm of guesswork. They're in the realm of rationalizations. But I don't have the answer to why precisely they have chosen May or the summer of 2020 to do this. But I guess, a lot of planning has gone into it. So it has started well before the summer of 2020. They have violated the agreements in order to achieve militarily on the ground what they are not now anymore wanting to do diplomatically through negotiations.
Ambassador Kantha, explain one thing to me. One of the things that came out of the Moscow talks was that both sides have agreed to form new confidence-building measures. So do you need more confidence-building measures between India and China?
Jyoti, as you rightly pointed out, we have a number of CBMs in place between India and China. Beginning with 1993 agreement, 1996, 2005, 2012, 2013. In fact, both Gautam and I were closely involved with crafting these agreements, virtually all of them. I believe taken together, they provide a good architecture for maintaining peace and tranquility in border areas. Clearly, something has gone wrong. If you go by our experience of last 4.5 months, CBMs haven't worked in practice. CBMs haven't worked in practice not because there's something seriously lacking in the agreements we have signed with China, but because Chinese are not implementing those agreements in good faith. As Gautam rightly pointed out, the deployment at a massive scale that Chinese have undertaken is in violation of those CBMs. So I think what we need to do is to review those CBMs, see why they have not worked in practice, if there's need to do something additional to fix any gaps in CBMs, if there's need to tweak the CBMs. But throwing baby with bath water is not the answer. Likewise, rushing headlong into new CBMs may not be warranted. In fact, Chinese have a habit of cherry picking. From time to time, they will try to walk away from their commitments under previous CBMs. Just to give you two examples, they are committed to clarify and confirm and move towards a common understanding of the line of actual control. It's a formal understanding which is reflected into 1996 Agreement on Military CBMs. As you know, they have unilaterally stalemated this process. They refused to continue with exchange of maps that we agreed to. Likewise, we signed a very good agreement in 2005 on political parameters and guiding principles for settlement of the boundary question. They have tried to redefine and reinterpret many of the important provisions of that agreement. Now, Chinese have a habit of walking away from their commitments made in the past when they find those commitments to be inconvenient. I don't think we should facilitate that. There may be need for reviewing existing CBMs, but whether we need many new CBMs, I'm not sure about it.
Right. Ambassador Bambawale, there has been a report in Global Times, an editorial in the Global Times. And while in India, I know that we love to read Global Times and believe that it's representative of what the Chinese government is thinking, I just want to read out this one sentence. And the editorial says, facts show that it is difficult for China to keep India rational on important issues. And then it goes on to say, one, effective use of strength is indispensable. We must increase the cost of risky gambles of India on the border issue. What do you make of it?
I don't understand what he's saying at all, because our perspective, our view, the Indian perspective is exactly the opposite. That the Chinese are taking a risk by pushing aside all the agreements that they have signed with India. Many of these agreements are now, though there's mention of it in the Moscow joint press statement, I believe that they lie on the heap of history.
What do you think lies on the heap of history?
The bilateral agreements that we have signed with them.
Are you saying that the Chinese are junking these past agreements?
They have. That's why we all mentioned, all of us have been speaking about the fact that these agreements do not permit you to bring in the large number of troops that the Chinese have brought in. But I can see that, the fact that India is challenging their military coercion, is standing up to them, is getting them a bit worked up and het up.
Ambassador Kantha, if you could explain to us what's happening on the ground along the line of actual control. In the last few days, the Indian Army has taken the heights in the Kailash range, but there are reports that the soldiers from the two sides, the Indian and Chinese soldiers, are actually very close in some parts, especially on the southern bank of the Pangong Tso.
Jyoti, I can only go by media reports which have appeared over the last few days. Indian side has taken some preemptive steps on Kailash range, as you mentioned, along the two shoulders of Ispangur Gap. Yeah. We have occupied some commanding heights there. I believe 4 features on either flank of Ispangur Gap are being occupied by Indian troops. I would like to clarify that these features are entirely on our side of the line of actual control. So we have not violated the LAC in any manner. This is not a case of quid pro quo operation across the LAC. We suspected that Chinese were planning to move the troops to some of these features, so we have preempted them. Now, Chinese are still trying, according to media reports, to dislodge us from some of these features. They have come in close proximity of our deployment along the features. We have so far managed to sort of prevent them from coming any closer. Hopefully better sense will prevail on the Chinese side, and they would give up efforts which might lead to another serious situation along the LAC. Jyoti, today we have along the LAC a really alarming and unstable situation. As Gautam pointed out, we have deployment on unprecedented scale by the Chinese side, and there's matching deployment by our side. We have face-off situations at multiple locations, and we have had cases where fire has been opened, where there has been an incident resulting in loss of life. So there is always the risk of a skirmish occurring once again. I think two sides need to take quick action to ensure that such skirmishes are prevented. Because if you have such incidents, they may go out of hand. There's always the risk of that happening.
That sounds very ominous, Ambassador Bambawale. Words like skirmish and things can go out of hand. Do you think that this could lead to a shooting war, a hot war between the two sides?
Look, can I just clarify on this point? I'm not suggesting that we are moving towards war on a large scale. I believe, as matters stand, neither side seem to be inclined to move towards escalate the situation into a large scale military operation. But skirmishes, even if they are local to begin with, can degenerate into something worse.
Mm-hmm. Like what we saw happening in the Galwan Valley.
Yes, you saw what happened in Galwan Valley.
Ambassador Bambawale, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I believe that the probability of a hot situation has probably increased in the last few months, say in the last month or so, in the last 4 weeks. As I said earlier, the Chinese have violated our bilateral agreements. As a result of this, the next skirmish, if and when it takes place, as Ambassador Kant was saying, will not be with sticks and stones. It will be with firearms.
So tell me, Ambassador Bambawale, in 2013, when you were on the China desk in the Ministry of External Affairs, this is when Prime Minister Manmohan Singh was Prime Minister, and the Chinese intruded in Depsang. Tell us a little bit about what happened then and whether this area in the Depsang plains, whether this is still one of those places where the Chinese can come in very easily, and whether that they are occupying, that there are reports that they are occupying territory even there.
Yeah. So yes, in Depsang in 2013, it was a case of an Indian patrol and a Chinese patrol coming face to face. So there was a face-off. And then, of course, there was a little bit of escalation. But at that point in time, you didn't have the numbers of troops which you have today in the tens of thousands. Also, at that time, the standard operating procedures of not using firearms, there is the banner drill, etc. Those standard operating procedures still held, and they were implemented by troops on both sides. And eventually, of course, we had the situation where the then new premier of China was supposed to be visiting India. And we mentioned to the Chinese and we told them that, look, we will not accept and let this visit go ahead unless this particular close proximity, face-to-face situation is de-escalated. And that's what exactly happened. As Ambassador Kant said, it happened in 2014 too.
Right.
And therefore, this is a totally different kettle of fish where you have many more troops on both sides. You have armaments, you have artillery. The old standard operating procedures have broken down. So you have the use of firearms possibly in a future skirmish. And therefore, it is much more serious. It is much more dire than it was in earlier times.
Ambassador Kantha, can I come back to what you said right at the beginning of this discussion, which is that after the Moscow talks, there have been reports in the Chinese media that the foreign minister, the Chinese foreign minister Wang Yi, has de-linked the border incidents, the border conflict, from the general relation between India and China. While India's foreign minister, Mr. Jaishankar, has said in the Moscow talks, told Wang Yi, and again, these are from media reports, that the border situation will be linked to the overall India-China situation.
Yes, Jyoti. In fact, as you know, while there was a joint press statement issued by both sides after conclusion of the meeting between our External Affairs Minister and Foreign Minister Wang Yi, Chinese side issued a separate press statement. And in the press statement, they have made some points which have been questioned by the Indian side in subsequent briefings. And one of the elements of press statement, Chinese press statement, is that the Indian minister agreed that there is no change in India's China policy, and that development to India-China relations will not be contingent on resolution of the boundary question. Whereas, as you know, our minister has made a very firm and categorical linkage between situation in the border areas and further development in India-China relations. He has made it very clear in his public remarks, and I believe also during his meeting with Wang Yi, that there cannot be normal development to India-China relations unless peace and tranquility is maintained in border areas and situation in border areas is brought under control. So we are not quite on the same page in our projection of what happened in the meeting between Dr. Jaishankar and Minister Wang Yi.
So do you think this is a deliberate misinterpretation of the Moscow talks, Ambassador Bambawale?
No, I don't think it's a deliberate misinterpretation. It only shows the differences between the two sides. And both the Chinese side have put out a further explanation of their own about what happened in Moscow in the bilateral talks. And the Indian side has also done the same thing. The Chinese side can go on shouting from the rooftops that the border situation will not impact the status of India-China relations. India takes a diametrically opposite view, and this is not something which happens, you clap with both your hands. So if one hand is not going to let the India-China relationship continue as it was in the past, as India has very clearly pointed out, it is going to deteriorate, and it is deteriorating even as we speak.
Right, but explain something to me. If you're saying that that the Chinese side, I mean, to me it seems as if the Chinese side is behaving as if it's business as usual, when clearly it's not. So why is there...
And the Chinese side cannot unilaterally decide whether it's going to be business as usual. There's another party to this, which is India, and we have taken steps already, like banning Chinese apps, like ensuring that Chinese companies do not win public contracts in India. And there are many more other such decisions which are probably in the pipeline and will be announced in the next few days, weeks, as we move ahead in this situation. So it is definitely not going to be business as usual. That, the Chinese should see the writing on the wall. They probably have seen the writing on the wall, but they're continuing to stick to their point of view.
But explain to Ambassador Kantha, if you can explain to me, why is it that there is a conflict at the border? There are the two soldiers, soldiers from both sides are very close, face to face, if not eyeball to eyeball. Why is it that the Chinese are putting out a different interpretation of the Moscow conversation from the Indian side? After all, it's the same two people who had that conversation.
Jyoti, as Gautam very rightly pointed out, two sides have different positions on this issue. It's a very fundamental difference that we have between India and China on the linkage between the boundary question and situation in border areas and overall relationship. We have made it very clear that what's happening in border areas has seriously impacted the trajectory of India-China relations, and that you cannot expect business as usual unless situation in border areas is fixed. In fact, there's a larger issue involved here. Since 1988, Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi's visit to China in December 1988, we have broadly followed this paradigm that the boundary question and other outstanding issues can be compartmentalized, even while we seek normal development of India-China relations elsewhere. I think this basic paradigm has broken down. Minister Jaishankar has talked about need for new equilibrium in India-China relations. I think we need a new paradigm, a new equilibrium, a new understanding in India-China relations, where the boundary question, other outstanding issues will have to be addressed more meaningfully if we expect progress in larger relations between India and China.
So the last question to the two of you, which is that the Chinese have occupied Indian territory. As we speak, they're still on Indian soil. Do you think that this is, so what is it that the Chinese want, or this is a question which is a multi-billion-dollar question. How do you think this can be resolved, next steps forward? First you, Ambassador Bambawale.
I think what the Chinese are doing is that they are trying to militarily and unilaterally define the LAC.
So they believe
define the boundary between India and China.
So they're saying this is our territory, that where they are right
exactly,
now.
Exactly. And they're trying to do it with the force of arms. Now, this is not acceptable to India. And therefore, we have done a matching build-up by our troops, etc. And we are blocking them to the extent that we have already stopped them. So I think there is no other way but to restore status quo ante, and then to move it into a discussion phase where two countries, two nation states can actually discuss where the LAC is, clarify where the LAC is, and even clarify where the boundary is. It's going to take time. It's not going to be easy. But the Chinese want to do it militarily, through military coercion, which is completely unacceptable to India.
Ambassador Kantha, is it your impression that in Moscow, the Chinese side agreed to disengage completely, withdraw to status quo ante? That was not very clear. So why should they do that when right now they are in an advantageous position? They have taken your territory, India's Indian territory. So why should they move back?
No, in Moscow, the Chinese side did not agree to restoration of status quo ante. It's very clear from joint press statement which they issued following the talks between two ministers. But as Gautam very rightly pointed out, we need to persevere in our basic position that there must be restoration of status quo ante. This may not happen anytime soon. This may require, deployment of our troops in fairly large numbers during winter months. It will not be easy, but we'll have to do that. I don't think there is any shortcut to present position, because Chinese are taking a position which is really difficult to explain. And we cannot let them unilaterally change the status quo. We cannot permit them to create new facts on the ground along the LAC between India and China. So on one side, we must stay firm on our position. There must be restoration of status quo ante as a result of the process of disengagement and de-escalation. On the other hand, I think we should be prepared to undertake a basic review of our relations with China, a root and branch review of our relations with China. This relationship, as I mentioned earlier, the basic paradigm which is obtained for more than 30 years has broken down. We need to find a new understanding on how to manage and govern this relationship.
Thank you so much, Ambassador Kantha, Ambassador Bambawale, both of you former ambassadors to China. Ambassador Kantha, also director of the Institute of Chinese Studies. Thank you so much for your time, for participating in the print debates. Please continue to watch the Print's YouTube channel. It's always live and buzzing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.